All right, I'll change jackets during the break. You're right.
You should. Warriors versus Joker. Steph's still recuperating, 34 points in 23 minutes off the bench. Joker teed up in the third quarter, then again in the fourth. He's gone. Looks like Denver might soon be as well. Nick, have Steph and the Warriors exposed Joker?
Wilds, listen, I get it, America. I'm irritating. I'm self-aware enough to know that. It is why, do you know the single highest rated show we've ever had? By a mile. The day after the Chiefs lost to the Bengals. You know why? Because people want to see me in pain. And I deserve that at times. I get that. However, when I'm right, I am right. And if we ever were going to get evidence that the once upon a time prestigious NBA MVP award is now basically a SAG award for basketball, I present to you Game 1 and Game 2 of these NBA playoffs, Nuggets, Warriors. We have Brew since media has been voting. There have been plenty of MVPs, not a long list, but a list of guys that disappointed in the playoffs. Dirk lost to the We Believe Warriors in round 1. Karl Malone, when he won his second MVP, lost in round 2 to the Blazers. They shouldn't have lost that series. Giannis, a few years ago, when he won his second MVP, lost in round 2 in bad fashion to Miami. But the distinction between those instances and what we're seeing here is they were surprising. People voted a guy MVP, was like, well, his team's going to go on a playoff run, and they disappointed. There's only been one instance in 40-some years where folks walked themselves off this cliff, where they're like, this guy's the MVP, and we expect him to get rolled in round 1. It was Russ in 2017. But at least Russ in 2017 had the dignity, Broussard, to perform in the postseason. Russ was like, oh, I got my MVP by being Mr. Triple-Double. Well, how about in the playoffs, I go 37, 12, and 11? How about I have a 50-point triple-double? And how about 4 of the 5 games come down to the final minutes? 4 of the 5 games are 6 points or less? How about that? Jokic, on the other hand, they've been blown out both games. He's now been ejected in 2 of his last 3 postseason games. Remember the Suns sweep, he got kicked out of that one for the swipe on campaign's face. And Mr. Efficiency, Mr. Advanced Numbers has been worse in every category across the board while Draymond Green's eating his lunch money like he's back in Saginaw. The guy's 25, 10, and 5 on 47% shooting, and he's one of the greatest players ever. Okay. Well, Draymond Green, who's 5 inches shorter than you, is so much more impactful on winning, it's a joke. So, you know what's also a joke? MVP awards now, evidently. I want to know why Trae Young didn't get consideration. Led the league in points, led the league in assists. Who gives a damn his team can't win a playoff series? Not Trae's fault. Put Trae on the ballot. So ridiculous. So, yeah, I was right. All the media nerds were wrong, and they got to eat it for another 4 days until this series mercifully ends.
Well, all right, first let me defend the MVP award, which I've been voting for 2 decades, Nick. It is not belittled. It looks like Jokic is going to win. And you guys know he was 3rd on my ballot. I had Giannis number 1, Joel Embiid number 2.
Thank you.
Jokic number 3. So I'll give you that. He shouldn't be the MVP, but all the indications, Nick, we've been watching, looks like he's going to win his second straight. But I'll defend the award because, Nick, there have been many strange award winners. And obviously, you know, you started at when media started voting in 1981. All right, before that, Kareem won an MVP when he didn't even make the playoffs. He won another one when they got swept in the second round by Bill Walton in 1977. So, you know, we've had, you know, award winners before that in the MVP that we, you know, just were strange circumstances. And even the fact that Steve Nash has 2 and Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant have 1 apiece is strange. But nobody thinks Nash is better than either of those guys. Nobody thinks Nash is better than Isaiah Thomas, who doesn't have any MVP awards, or Chris Paul, who doesn't have any. So I think I get it. You're looking at it as a historian. We use these things to rank players, and you are right. But we also are smart enough, hopefully, to know that, just because Nash has 2 doesn't mean he's better than Chris Paul. And just because Jokic will have 2 at least, it doesn't mean he's better or even close to as good as Shaquille O'Neal. So let me just say that to defend the award. But you are right. There are 2 things being exposed in this series. And the Denver Nuggets Wilds aren't one of them. Because, Nick, this was expected. They're the 6th seed. They're going against a rejuvenated Golden State team that's looking like a real contender, and they're supposed to get beat.
Right.
All right, but what's being exposed is Jokic to a large degree. Not that he's not still a very good player, a great player, but he's not what these analytics guys think he is. And that's the second thing that's being exposed, the overvaluing of analytics. All right, analytics are best, whether it's in baseball or basketball, Wilds, when it's combined with the eye test, when it's combined with the intangibles. And that's what the guys that just voted for Jokic without even thinking twice didn't look at. He's not as dominant as the numbers suggest, okay? Nick said it.
Correct.
He's struggling with Draymond Green. Draymond Green held him to 6 of 15 shooting, 0 for 4 from 3 in game 1. What do you think Shaq, Olajuwon, David Robinson, Patrick Ewing, you wouldn't even think about putting Draymond on them unless you're ready to just give up a 40-piece. And so Jokic is somewhat being exposed, just that he's not quite as good as the numbers suggest. And it's time that the analytics guys realize that, because you're watching, he's having no impact whatsoever on this game or these games.
Can I tell you the most disrespectful thing that happened in the playoffs so far? Kyrie had the gold medal for the multiple middle fingers and some of his verbal barrage to the Celtics fans. He's got to move to second place now. You cannot slap the reigning MVP on the fanny like he's a rookie. Like you're a high school coach. Like, hey, you know what? Good job. Hey, good try out there. You know what? Keep hustling. It's embarrassing. And then making it worse, he gets stopped by Steph Curry. Like, come on, Joker. How much do you outweigh Steph Curry by? So either you're serious about going like, you know what? I have an issue with that. You just disrespected me. Hey. Be careful. Check your. You know where your brother. The brothers are in your IG DMs.
I know they are. So here, listen. So a couple things, because I do think this is it. Brew, you mentioned guys who don't have MVPs or should have more. I can't fix Isaiah Thomas, because when Isaiah would have been winning MVPs, Magic and Michael were winning them. Seems pretty fair. You know what I mean? It was just kind of a tough time to win MVPs when Magic and Michael win 6 consecutive. It's like, okay, what are you going to do? Right. But it is very interesting. You mentioned Shaq only has 1. Well, Shaq finished 2nd when Nash won his 1st. You mentioned Kobe only has 1. Kobe got the 2nd most first-place votes when Nash got his 2nd. You mentioned Chris Paul doesn't have 1. I argued Chris Paul should have won it last year. Joel Embiid doesn't have 1. He's going to finish 2nd this year. We live in a world where Shaq, Kobe, Chris Paul, and Embiid combined have 2. And Nash and Jokic combined are about to have 4. If your guys' next meeting with Adam, if we could just revoke those 4 and distribute them fairly across the board, call it an MVP socialism plan, all of a sudden a lot of NBA history makes more sense. But, Brew, you attacked advanced numbers, and while I am not, a slave to the numbers, I do respect them. And I do think one advanced metric has really come out shining so far this postseason. Can we show the graphic? And I don't know how familiar you guys are with this, but in bet, here is the guys who so far this postseason have had a better game. I think we have the graphic, or else this doesn't work. So far this year, they have had a better single game in bet than the soon-to-be 2-time MVP. I don't know if you guys are familiar with like VORP and BPM. InBet is one of those.
InBet?
It stands for Knicks Basketball Eye Test. And guess what? We're approaching 25 guys who in a single game have been better than Jokic so far. And none of them have been kicked out yet, just for the record. None of them have taken their ball and gone home. And also, odd thing, because I know the Nuggets stink and they're the worst team ever to make the playoffs, and that's why Jokic gets this MVP. But I don't know if you've seen, game one, the Nuggets were minus 19 in Jokic's 34 minutes. And plus 3 in the 14 he wasn't on the court. And then yesterday they were minus 26 in his 28 minutes and plus 6 in the 20 he sat. Again, single game plus minus is not everything. But Wilds, throw it on the
Too far.
Wilds, throw it on the You're throwing a flag?
No.
Throwing a flag on the
I'm
single
not.
game plus minus?
I'm not. I threw a yellow flag.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to go that
Denver's
far.
better without Jokers. Too far. Too far.
I didn't say that. Just in this series they have.
That is
Maybe
too
that's
far.
why he got ejected. But it would help him.
Well, I wouldn't even go there. I wouldn't even go there. But here's what I will say, Nick, and I got to agree with you on this. It is time, if Jokic is going, heck, he's already a one-time MVP, and I voted for him last year, and I have no issues with that. I'll stand by that vote. But now he's going to be a two-time MVP. He's going to have to be held to the high standard. When Dirk won his MVP and lost to the 8-seeded Warriors that year, people were like, not done with Dirk. They knew he was